Hello, this is the Cowboys and Unicorns podcast. I'm David,
And I'm Dan.
and we are, how many thousands of miles away are we right now?
Let me Google it here. Let's
Yeah,
see here.
I think we need to.
Yeah, I'm in Quito, Ecuador right now.
Granted, I am in Pekin, Illinois, so that technically might be closer to you, or it might be
Uh,
farther.
yeah, it's closer. Because Pekin's south. What are you doing in Pekin?
Well, it's the annual quality strategic meeting for all of our divisions, so I am here basically just as like Salesforce support and kind of IT help. So it's always kind of fun to sit in on these types of meetings, though, because you get to hear kind of lots of the strategic talk and the vision casting and be a part of all that stuff. So it's kind of neat.
Sweet.
We get to tour the Caterpillar, one of their production facilities, tomorrow morning too. So that's gonna be
Oh,
cool.
yeah, that's super exciting.
Yeah.
But not as exciting as moving to Ecuador. So
Yeah, we got so much snow this weekend.
that's what I heard and saw on social.
Yeah, it was actually pretty nasty. I mean, we didn't get as much snow as they said we should, but it was really, really like sleety, wet snow, and I had to help get my brother-in-law unstuck multiple times that day.
That sucks. It's perfect here. It literally, well, let's see here. It's winter still, but let's see here. What's
Yeah,
the
what's the
temperature?
temperature? By the way, it's 2,900 miles exactly.
Okay, dang. Yeah, it's like in the mid like 70s all day.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe upper 70s at noon and then so it's completely comfortable.
It was 38 degrees here in Pekin when like this mid-afternoon, and it felt
Hmm.
tropical. So
Yeah, I bet. I bet.
can't imagine. Well, I get to go to Arizona next week, so it's supposed to be in Prescott Valley. It's like between 65 and 70 degrees, so that's gonna be pretty sweet.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. So we finally found a house.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Um, I'm gonna when I do this week's blog,
yeah.
um, I'll put up a video so
And
everybody can see it.
is that blog on DanielTiernan.com or somewhere else?
No, it's on Medium.
Okay,
Um, so it's Dan Runs Fast on Medium.com.
we'll
And
have
that's
to
where
link it.
yeah. And that's where I'll be blogging about Ecuador because that's more of like a personal blog.
Sure. Yeah, that makes
Uh, and then the one on my website is more of my creative writing.
right.
But I figured, I don't know, I'm not a big video person. Like I like doing the podcast and I like writing. So I
Yeah.
figured a blog would be just a better way to capture it than to like try to start a vlog or something and like
Oh, for sure.
edit edit video because it takes so much time.
Yeah, editing is just a pain in the neck, as
And I'm
people can
not.
tell from our podcast, since we don't even edit that.
Yeah. And I can edit video, but I'm not very good. It'll be super amateur.
Right. So you were texting me and you told me that there's no ovens and like appliances in apartments, so you have to buy one?
Dude, it's kind of weird. So we kind of got lucky, and the place we got is furnished.
Oh, really?
And so some houses, it's kind of like there's no in between. So you go to some, and there's literally like no stove, no oven, no fridge, no microwave,
Oh my gosh.
nothing, and like a couple lights, like
Yeah.
here and there, and so I don't know why that is. I mean, that just doesn't seem practical. It's so
Right.
much easier to move places if you don't have to buy or move your own refrigerator. But whatever. So we looked at a few places like that, and then, but the place that we're going into, uh, well, it has a stove top that you can like turn on like a flat burner, but no stove. But it has I would say like a rack, like a fireplace, like with a flume.
Really?
So I can like probably like cook, like I could cook a pizza on it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the place we got is super. It kind of feels like a cabin almost. It's like got a like a cabin vibe. Um, Fully furnished with two couches and a bed and a TV
Oh wow.
and a nice huge wooden table, like handmade. Uh, and it's on this lady's property. So there's this lady. I think she's got two daughters who are out of the house, and her husband works, and she's
Interesting.
got a house. But then the way they do it here is they'll like build a second house on the same property, like a smaller one,
Sure.
and then because kids stay with their families a lot longer
Okay.
here.
So like it's
Uh,
where the kids live once they're kind of old enough to move out of the house, or
yeah, so like probably maybe the kids move in, like maybe when they're 18 or when they're going to college or something,
yeah.
um, or maybe they live there until they're 20. I'm not quite sure,
Huh.
but people stay with their families, I think, a lot longer, and then you eventually move out.
Right.
So there's like a second house, and then sometimes the kids will live there as young adults, and then later on they'll leave or something.
Interesting.
Which not all the places, but couple that we've looked at have been like that.
Right.
And obviously, you kind of have to be rich enough to build a second house on your property.
Right. Yeah. There's that.
Like some people are just living in apartments or whatever. I'm sure.
Is it just a mud hut, Dan? Like with
No,
floors and
no, it's nice. Let's see. The floors are. It's like a stone floor, but it's a nice stone floor,
hmm.
and the whole. It's one bedroom. So you basically walk in. There's like a small living room. The kitchen's to your left, and there's a bedroom to the right, like the master bedroom,
Sure.
with one and a half bathroom
Okay.
and washer and dryer and stuff. But like the whole back wall is like brick. Like everything here is like made super like heavy duty.
Sure. Well, I
It's different
suppose
because
they
like
probably
it.
don't have to like insulate very well. They just need it to be like stand up to tsunamis and stuff.
Right. Well, earthquakes because it's in the mountains, but yeah.
Oh yeah. Shows I should like look this place up because you still haven't posted too many good pictures, so I have a good perspective of like the
What it looks
landscape.
like.
So half the time I imagine you just like basically in the African savannah with adobe huts, and the other half the time it's like you're sitting on a beach drinking a mimosa. So
Yeah. Neither of those are true. So I'm 100 miles from the coast.
okay, well it's not
I'm
too far,
I'm right. Yeah, compared to Minnesota.
right?
But I think it takes like 5 hours to get to the coast because it's mountains.
Oh sure.
We're 9,000 feet up, so it's the second highest capital city in the world. So like a capital of a country.
Oh wow, there's some cool looking buildings and stuff around here.
Yeah, and it's like a. We went to historical Quito on Saturday,
Okay,
and it was
did
like
you
the
go see
historical.
the angel statue thing?
Yeah, the Virgin Mary or whatever. We
Sure.
we 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 walked up 1,000 steps to go see the statue.
Oh wow.
So when I had to convince Kaylee because that kind of sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
It it wasn't too bad, but it was a little bit of a workout. But I looked at the steps and I was like, man, this is not a very big tourist attraction. Like no one's walking up these steps. Uh,
Hmm.
and then we got to the top of the hill and there was tons of people because you can take a taxi.
Oh.
And Kaylee had told me you could take a taxi, but I was like, no, we got to do this like
Yeah.
the hardcore way. So we got up there and there was plenty of people to go see like the big statue or whatever.
So
Just
did
no,
you take a taxi back down, or did you walk all the steps back?
no, we walked all the way back down.
Oh man.
And you had to like walk through this like kind of poor, almost like sketch neighborhood. That was like
Huh.
up the mountain. Um,
So is there like a decent tourist population around there, or do you like really stand out?
I think we stand out pretty bad. So we're actually kind of in a suburb of Quito, basically.
Oh, okay.
Is where like the school is.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're exactly called. I was asking one of the American people here that works here, and she was like, I don't know, like they're not quite districts. They're kind of like communities,
Sure.
but it would be like a half-hour ride into like downtown Quito from where we are.
Okay.
Um, and so we're also probably in a little bit of a nicer, like right now we're in a decently nice neighborhood. Like it's not that dangerous, and we're we're like a 5 minute drive away from a huge shopping mall that has a KFC.
Nice.
So, uh, yeah, well, I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah, it's 9,000 feet up Quito, so that's double the height of, or that's double the elevation of Denver.
Oh, okay. Wow.
So it's like 2 miles up. So
Yeah.
we're pretty high up here.
Yeah. I'm looking at pictures. It looks like there's some really cool like just stuff around there too.
Yeah, and we're in the valley. Yeah, so
Yeah.
um, yeah, I don't know what else. Oh yeah, do we stick out? Yeah, we do. Some people. So we're not. I don't think we're in the area. There's a bunch of expats, like people who are just like retiring here or whatever,
Right.
from the States, and we're not in that area. I'm not sure where that is, but I think it's closer to the city.
Sure.
Um, so no, I hardly see any white people, besides people from the school. But some people stare, but most people don't. I don't know. I think it just depends on the person. Probably like the States.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's this one like older lady, and Kaylee and I were on a run in the neighborhood, and she said something in Spanish, and I asked Kaylee like, what did she say? And Kaylee wasn't quite sure, but she was like, I think she said something like, what are you doing here? Or like, like where did you come from?
Right. Like,
She's
why are
probably just
you out running right now?
walking down the street, and there's these two white kids just like jogging, and
Right.
like, what the heck?
Yeah, it's like they might expect to see you like in the shopping mall, but not to see you like running around.
Right, like as if we live here.
Right. So there's a disc golf course not that far away from you.
Really?
Yeah. No one else cares, but I do. Like, it's probably actually kind of far away from you, but not that far away from you.
Yeah, I wonder what the disc golfing community is like here.
I think it's the only disc golf course in all of Ecuador, so.
So it's probably not a huge community.
No. But good enough for me to come visit.
Dude, that'd be so sweet.
That would be so fun. So, I was just looking at Instagram a few minutes ago. Saw your post about getting chased by dogs. Will you jog?
Yeah, twice now. And I'm already like, you know me, I don't really like dogs that
you
much.
hate dogs.
And there's like dogs are just kind of, they just walk around, they just chill here. Like they're not on leashes, they're not behind fences.
Yeah.
And most of them are super chill, which is nice, if not a little scary, because they're just out on the street.
Yeah.
And they might be feral, and they might belong to somebody. And so a couple, yeah. So the first time it was Sunday, and I went for a little bit of a longer run, and I was kind of in this like on-off ramp from the highway to the neighborhood.
Okay.
And there's like this one house at the bottom of this hill, and it had two dogs, and they were probably down like in a ditch, like where the house was, not a ditch, but like lower down, like 8 feet or so. And I hear them barking, and then they start kind of coming after me, and then they run up the ditch right at me.
Oh, man.
And I crossed the street without looking, which wasn't smart because it was like an on-ramp or an off-ramp. But I freaked out, and the dogs were coming at me. So
Yeah.
I'm glad there wasn't a car at that moment. And And then they kept chasing me, and they crossed like one of the lanes, and thankfully they stopped.
Oh man.
But there was no one around, so like if they would have bitten me, I don't know what was going to happen. And I am so scared around dogs. They sense that.
Right. They just smell your fear and they're like,
And
"You
then
got
today,
a live one."
I was just running on a street just in a neighborhood, and I didn't even see this dog. I think it was just laying like in front of its owner's house or whatever.
Sure.
On the sidewalk, and all of a sudden just lunges at me and starts barking, and I run across the street again. And the dog is coming after me, and I put up my arm like I had a rock.
Yeah.
Because that's what somebody told me to do the other day, because they said that Ecuadorians just throw rocks at the dogs, so they know what that means. So I put my arm up and ran away, and then it kind of quit chasing me. So I'm going to keep, I don't know if I have to carry a rock or just pretend to throw rocks at the dogs so
or
they
a
leave me alone.
pitchfork, like Ellie said.
Dude,
It's a little extreme.
Next time I see Ellie, I need to ask her about that, because she said her uncle runs with a pitchfork so that dogs don't come after. I was like, what?
Yeah, that seems a little bit extreme to me.
Yeah.
So this disc golf course, I'm still on that, by the way.
Yeah.
It's a 3 hour and 7 minute drive from you.
Okay.
It's like you take 35 and you go south. And it looks like it technically should be a lot closer than that, but you have to like take the one and only road that actually goes there.
Yeah. I bet.
It says it's at like 11,000 feet elevation too.
Dang.
But it's by Quilota, which looks like a really cool like big lake in the top of a mountain.
Oh, whoa. I might have to go there.
Yeah, it has 4.7 stars. I should be your travel specialist.
Right. What's your fee?
Probably like a Red Bull.
They do have Red Bull here.
Oh yeah.
I haven't found any cigars though.
Really?
I'm freaking out a little bit.
You gotta like ask one of your neighbors.
Yeah. The funny thing, I mean, they call cigarettes cigarillos or cigarillos here or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So I wonder what they call regular cigars. Like, if I don't know. I imagine must just still be cigar, right? Isn't that a universal word?
I would think so.
Like if they call them, I don't know. Don't they call them cigars in Cuba and Nicaragua? I mean, that's kind of like Spanish.
Right.
Speaking, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it's probably universal.
Yeah.
It looks like there's alpacas on this disc golf course. Okay, I'm going to stop thinking about this disc golf course now, because this is probably really boring content. But so, for whatever reason, I told people I was recording the podcast, so we might have like 6 or 7 more people listening to this episode or listening to the podcast in the near future.
Okay.
Shout out to Kathy Johnson if she actually listens. She said she loves podcasts. So.
Oh, dang.
Yeah.
What's up, Kathy?
Anyways, I mean, have you had any other like crazy experiences, or has it been just pretty fun and adventurous, but nothing super weird? Or
yeah, I'm trying to think of some weird stuff. So the driving, like the way people drive here, is crazy.
It's on the other side of the street, or no?
What?
Do they drive on the other side of the street, or
no? They drive on the regular side.
Okay,
but it's all super aggressive.
Yeah,
and not just like, oh, I'm from Morrison. Like they drive like in Minneapolis. Like the space in between cars, like they don't care. And
sure.
I think like pedestrians don't really have the right of way. So
okay,
so the cars are gonna go, and then you've got to figure it out from there.
Oh man.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of an example. And then people are really comfortable being like close to cars. So if you cross the street, like you might cross as soon as a car whizzes by, and then wait in the middle of the street for some more cars to pass, and then keep walking.
Sure.
And yeah, I just go when the Ecuadorians go. Like,
Sure. Yeah. Just follow.
I just find one other person crossing the street. And I'm like, I'm going to stick with this person.
Yeah.
But so yeah, there's like street performers right outside the place where we're staying right now.
Oh, cool.
People like dress up like clowns and juggle and do backflips and stuff
Oh,
for
that's
money.
creepy.
Yeah, and the other day the street performer was wearing some weird costume, and I was looking at it for like 20 seconds and I couldn't figure out what it was, and doing some weird routine on the street. So there's every once in a while I'm just like, I have to double look at something and be like,
Yeah.
what? We were sitting on the corner eating. There's an empanada shop on the corner, and empanadas are like, they're like these fried, I don't know how to explain it. I don't know. They're super tasty and they're fried and they have like cheese or meat inside of them.
Yeah.
It's not a taco, but it's like kind of in that shape, but it's all enclosed. It's like breaded. So we're sitting in the corner at this shop, and then all of a sudden we're like all these horses with kids on them.
What?
Yeah. So we're like at an intersection where the shop is.
Yeah.
And it's maybe like 8 o'clock at night, and there's like 8 or 10 horses and a couple adults on the horses, and then there's some kids, and they just went through the intersection and kept riding.
Wow.
Fully saddled up and everything.
Yeah.
And we're just like, is there a horse club on? Like, what? I don't know. It didn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah. That's.
Or you'll see some people, I guess, like retired people that have cows because you can live off cows. But we're in a city, and you'll just see somebody like tying up their cows.
So it's like still kind of a strange, like, it's not culture how we're used to it.
It's so weird because it is a different culture, but you realize how global so many U.S. and Western brands are.
Sure.
Because there's Coca-Cola.
Okay.
There's Coca-Cola like every 5 feet.
Right.
There's a KFC in the mall. There's like people are wearing Nikes. Like it's everybody has a smartphone.
Right.
It's like this weird combination.
So is KFC like the only main like fast food chain that you've run into, or are there others?
There's a Pizza Hut not too far away from us, but I haven't been
That's
there. I'm trying to think what else. Oh, there's a TGI Fridays. We went to TGI Fridays in the mall.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It tastes a little bit different, but
Right.
Yeah, it's a weird mix too of like prices, because some things are cheaper and some things cost the same and some things are more expensive.
Sure.
So like Head and Shoulders shampoo costs like $12.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why.
Is it
But
stuff
then-
that they'd have to import, like costs
Yeah.
more?
Yeah, but it seems like not everything. So I don't know, like, why does shampoo cost more, but Coke is cheaper? Like, I mean, I'm sure
Yeah.
there's a bunch of economic reasons that I don't know about, or
Right.
like, why is the phone plan's a little bit cheaper,
Okay.
and then get data and everything, and I don't know, yeah, I don't know a bunch because I've only been here a week and a half, but
Right. But so far, it seems like a pretty good life decision. Have you learned Spanish yet?
I've probably learned a good deal of Spanish just from being here for 10 days, and because you're just constantly reading Spanish on signs, and then you interact with people, they speak Spanish a little bit,
Right.
and then I've been with Kaylee a lot and so she's speaking Spanish to people.
Yeah.
And then I ask her what's going on. And then I also took like 2 semesters of Spanish, so I'm reminded of things.
Right. Like you probably can pick up on that basic vocabulary that you know or knew fairly quickly.
Right, like there's words that I don't remember knowing, but like if somebody says it in English, I'll like think of it in Spanish.
Sure.
Or I'll think of the right word and I'm like, why do I know that? But it's not like I haven't spent any time trying to learn Spanish. So
Yep.
yeah. We had so right now Kaylee is co-teaching with somebody at the school. So she's
Okay.
kind of like in an assistant role for these first 6 months, and then we'll probably have her own teaching position after that.
Sure.
The semester after that. And so we met with the teacher she's working with. Her name is Catherine. She's from Texas.
Yeah.
And she actually has a teaching degree from the U.S. and taught there for a little bit.
Okay.
And her boyfriend is from Brazil. And so we went like on a double date with them last week.
Oh, nice.
And let's see here.
Did he follow the podcast?
I don't know.
Was? Someone from Quito, Ecuador, followed the podcast, and I was like,
oh, yeah, no, I think that was somebody else.
Okay.
I saw that though.
He just like throwing up posters all around the streets, like El Cowboy, El Unicorn, the Podcasta.
Actually, I boosted a post on my writer Facebook page.
Okay, yeah.
And I've got like insane results. Like I spent like $15 so far, and I've got like 180 likes.
Holy cow!
I took a photo of like a local craft beer.
Yeah.
And that was like last week's short story or whatever.
Yep.
And then I just I boosted that post here. And I wanted to try it because one time when I did a Facebook ad in Puerto Rico for work, it just got insane results. And so I think there's something with people using Facebook ads less in these particular geographic locations.
Sure.
And so I think they perform that much better because probably either people don't know there's an ad, or there's just that many less people placing ads in Quito, like on Facebook.
Right. So you're not fighting for the ad space or something like that.
Yeah, because I'm running a different one at the same time in Minneapolis with an Indeed brewing beer, and I got like 13 likes. So I'm paying like, in Minneapolis, I'm paying like 80 cents a like, and in Quito, I'm paying like 5 cents per like.
Huh.
So it's kind of interesting to see them go at the same time.
Yeah. So it looks like there's a pretty good like craft beer selection still out there.
There is some. There's let's see here. I mean, not nearly as much as the States, but
right. But some different stuff too.
Yeah, we went out to eat tonight, and I don't know what brand it was, but I had a honey ale, and that was pretty good.
Oh, cool.
I've had a few IPAs, and
yeah, we went to a steakhouse for dinner tonight. It was really good.
I bet on company money.
Yep, company steak.
That's the best.
And a cookie, like a skillet cookie with chocolate chip cookie with a scoop of ice cream on top for dessert.
Dang.
It was delicious.
Delicioso.
Yes.
Oh, so we went on this double date, and sorry. And so he's from Brazil, so they speak Portuguese.
Okay.
So, but he also spoke Spanish. But he didn't speak English. I don't really speak Spanish, so we were both at like super beginner levels. And then Spanish was also his second language, so sometimes he would use Portuguese words. And then Kaylee and Catherine's Spanish is both their second language. Right. So it was a really interesting date. Like 3 out of the 4 knew Spanish, but none of it was their first language.
Yeah.
And then 3 of us knew English, but he didn't know English.
Right.
And then So there's a lot of translation going on, but they were super cool, and he's like a theology student, I think, or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I asked him what school he went to, and I did it correctly, but then I can't remember what he said.
You gotta get the Spanish under wraps, Dan.
I know. I got a taxi all by myself without Kaylee the other day. I felt super proud.
He probably ripped you off, too. He's like, this guy doesn't
No.
know Spanish.
It was the same as I paid the time before, so.
Okay.
Kaylee.
There you go.
I went up to this first taxi, and I was saying, like, the name of the school, and the guy didn't know what it was. And then I went up to the second one, and he was like, no entiendo, like, I don't understand you. And I was like, all I'm saying is the name of the school. Like,
Yeah.
And then I went to the third taxi, and I kind of got in without knowing whether he knew where the school was. And then he asked, he asked me a question. I didn't understand it, and then I've been practicing how to say, like, my wife works at the school. And so I just told him that, and then he seemed like, and then he took me to the right place.
Huh.
I was like, thank God.
Drives you like into the middle of this super sketchy neighborhood and drops you off.
Mi esposa trabaja en colegio.
Yeah.
But
I have no interesting stories since Morris is still Morris.
Yeah. That's nice, though. I think I'm going to miss the States a little bit.
Yeah. Just the comfort of it. The normalness.
Yeah, probably more the people.
Yeah.
I'm not... I like... I don't mind roughing it a little bit. Like, that's not a huge... I'm not a big, like, comforts person.
Sure.
I've been sleeping on the floor for the last week. Because, yeah. And so that sucks a little bit, but, like, it doesn't really put me off too much.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of, like, American stuff. Like, if I really need it, I can go get a Red Bull.
Yeah. Is it cheaper there?
I don't know. I mean, Red Bull's always... I got a 4-pack the other day. It was $10. Is that about right?
Yeah, it's a few bucks cheaper.
Yeah.
Are they the 8-ounce ones or the 12-ounce ones?
Yeah, the 8-ounce ones.
Yeah, I think they're usually like 3 something a can. So,
right, but it's a little cheaper than a 4-pack, though.
Yeah, probably $12 maybe, but
yeah,
not that different.
But
Do
it's keep going.
Do the people you live with have like Shih Tzus or something that bark all the time?
Oh no, sorry, that's across the street. Is that
wild dogs?
I don't know.
They chased you home from your run and they're just hanging out there.
Is that really loud on the? Can you hear it?
It's not really loud. I just heard it.
Okay. Yeah, the dogs are always barking here. I had to go outside because I think the people that we're staying with are sleeping, and I'm kind of talking loud.
Oh, I suppose it's 10 o'clock now. There. 10 o'clock.
Yeah. But what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the money. Well, it's U.S. dollars, which is weird.
Okay.
It's not. I mean, it's nice because then I don't have to do any math in my head.
Right.
But I guess there was like 15, 20 years ago, they were in deep economic trouble and their currency failed, and they just decided to go with U.S. currency or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah, super weird. But it's weird to go. So I'm moving to a new place and I don't have a job yet.
Right.
So it's weird because there's always startup costs whenever you move.
Yeah.
And then things cost different amounts of money here, and you don't know like where the deals are and where they're overcharging you and etc.
Right.
So it's weird to buy things when you don't. Like you get in a group, like in Minnesota or whatever, you have a job, you kind of like know what you can afford, know what you can't. Like you don't have to think about things too much. You're kind of like, yep, we can eat dinner there. Like, okay, yeah, we can fill up the gas. Like you just don't.
Yeah, it's like you can buy groceries and gas, and you kind of know what it's going to cost you for a week.
And you don't have to like think about it insane At least like I don't know, when I had a steady job and stuff, you just kind of live within the means, and so it's weird to show up here and be like, should we buy that? I don't know. Like,
Right.
like, but
Do you have any leads on the job search or?
so I had a couple. One place they got back to me and they're like, "You're qualified," and I thought it was a remote job, but they're like, "You need to live in Connecticut," and I was like, "Oh, well, I don't live in Connecticut."
Yeah.
And then so that was kind of a bummer.
Yeah. Dang.
And then there was a couple. I got one guy that's going to get back to me for running Facebook ads and like social media stuff.
Okay.
And then I had another person get back to me, and I was it was like I was applying on this site where there's a lot of like contract jobs.
Sure.
So it's not necessarily like a lot of things that probably could turn into full-time things, but
Right.
More like freelance-based stuff.
Yep.
I'm applying to both, some full-time and some contract stuff.
Sure.
And so the one guy was like, "You're like definitely qualified and could do this, but like they weren't willing to pay me what I wanted."
Okay.
Or I don't know. So like some leads, and then it's kind of, I don't know. Applying for jobs is frustrating.
Yeah.
There's that point where you wonder if you're like, I still think it's going to work out, and I've got a lot more things to apply for and more ideas and stuff.
Right.
But yeah, it's that point when you move across the world, you don't have a job, and then you start second guessing yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, whatever happens, that we have savings and stuff. Like, there's no dire.
Right.
There's nothing dire, and with Kaylee's connections in the schools, like if worse came to worse, I could tutor kids in English.
Oh, sure.
Like after school, and you can charge like $20 an hour.
Right.
So if worse comes to worse, I'll just teach some Ecuadorians some English.
There you go. Except for the fact that if they don't know good enough Spanish or good enough English, then you wouldn't know what Spanish they're saying to you.
Yeah, the weird thing is when you teach English, you're not supposed to speak in Spanish.
Really?
Yeah, I don't really understand. So I'd have to have Kaylee like break down for me how it works.
Right.
Yeah,
that seems weird.
But when I took a couple Spanish classes in college, they didn't speak in English very much either.
Sure.
Like they just spoke in Spanish the whole time, like at the level that the person is at,
Right.
And I mean, I don't know. I've never taught it before, so I'm sure there's techniques on what to do.
Right.
But I mean, if you point at a chair and then say chair enough times, they're going to figure out it's a chair, and then then tell them how to. I mean, this is how my Spanish teacher did it, and then like tell them to sit, and then sit, and I mean, I think
yeah.
And if someone's taking lessons, like I think they're usually not at zero.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
I'm sure you're qualified, but let's hope that you find a marketing job.
Right.
Do you think that you'll get bored if you don't, have a job to kind of start to get into the groove?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, right now I just kind of treat applying to jobs as my job.
Right. No, that's a good strategy. That keeps you focused and gives you some purpose and stuff.
Yeah. So I wake up and then I eat and apply for a bunch of jobs and go for a run and try to figure out housing and phones and plenty of stuff.
Now you've got housing and phones figured out, right? So
not phones yet.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've just been texting you on Wi-Fi.
Right.
And I think I'll still have to do that because our phones, like, they'll just be for down here.
Right.
But yeah, our phones were locked to Straight Talk, and I didn't completely know that because it was a month-to-month thing. There's no contract.
Sure.
But they're still locked for 12 months of continuous use.
Oh, that's weird.
So I got mine unlocked, but then Kaylee's wasn't. And so Kaylee's going to have to buy a new phone. And I had just bought a phone not knowing it was locked, and it was kind of a mess. But
Yeah.
and then they tried to verify our credit card, and I don't know if it got lost in translation from country to country, or I don't know. It's a mess. We're gonna we're gonna figure it out on Thursday and bring like somebody who knows Spanish better to the cellular place,
Yeah.
because Kaylee's super good, but sometimes in a context where you're not used to all the words.
Right. Yeah, just like what. Well, I'm sure there's differences of like. I mean, you go to different states and people use different words for different things too.
Yeah, and if it's like technical, like about cell phone or like a contract or what they need for your financial information,
Right.
that's different than like ordering pizza. Like it's pretty easy to say,
Right.
"Yo quiero pizza, por favor."
Yes. Take my money and give me.
Right. So Morris is same old, same old.
Yeah, there. I mean, was I saying before the episode, or maybe we already said it, but we got some good winter weather here this weekend. Um, Otherwise, I'm trying to think if anything really. It's so hard to think of what's changed since we've been gone. It hasn't been that
Yeah, nothing. 10 days.
long. Right.
Yeah. Um, oh, what one weird thing about Ecuador, or at least Quito, where we're at, is
Yeah.
so everything for security purposes or whatever, everything's behind a wall. Not the shops, but all the houses. So like if let's say there is a block, right?
Yeah.
Everything's enclosed. And if like there was a group of apartments, that would all be like blocked off by like maybe an 8 to 9 foot wall with glass shards on top.
Huh.
And possibly like either barbed wire or an electric wire above that.
So I'm right, and you are gonna get kidnapped. Is that what you're telling me?
Right. So from the outside, it looks, especially to like a U.S. sensibility, it looks like a terrible neighborhood, right? Because it's like, why does everyone have walls up and there's glass shards like
Right.
in the concrete, like frozen in the concrete on top? But as soon as you will like unlock the door or open the gate to the property, it's like nice. And there's like a big nice house and a driveway and like gardens and I mean not every place, but a lot of these places.
Right.
And just like, oh, like this is a great neighborhood all of a sudden. Uh, so I don't know why that is, if it's just for security and stuff. And then so like out on the street there's like trash and it's like kind of dirty and there's these walls, and then you walk in and they're like, oh, these people have a nice house.
Huh.
And
So
then
is there like a homeless population, or not really?
I've seen like 2 homeless people.
Okay.
So I'm sure there is, but like I said too, we're in a little, I think, nicer part.
Right.
Maybe definitely where we are right now. Um, so no, I haven't seen a ton of homeless people.
Okay. Is there like, I mean, have you got the down low on like gang activity or cartels or anything that you have to actually worry about as tourists?
I have not, so
Eh,
I should probably.
Ignorance is bliss, right?
uh, yeah, hopefully. The lady Trisha, who Kayla got in contact with and got the job through or whatever,
Yeah.
she's driven us around to go do things. She's from Michigan, but she's lived here 7 years.
Oh wow, that's a
Yeah.
long time.
Yeah, she like moved here when she was like 18 or 19. So she's my age, but she's lived here. And so we'll drive in different areas and she'll be like, this is not as safe.
Okay. So she has a car?
Yeah.
Okay, not just
She
public transport type stuff.
Yeah. Well, she lives in the city and the school's out here, so I think it's like a 30-minute drive for her every day, at least.
Yeah.
And I mean, I guess like if you lived here long enough, like I would probably get a car too.
Right. But you have to move back to Morris like in 6 months, so.
I don't think it's gonna happen.
I'm hilarious.
I kind of want to move back to Minnesota eventually. I don't know if Kaylee will.
Yeah.
But I think I would move back somewhere not Morris. Like I'd move to the cities.
Yeah.
But if I lived in the cities, I could come see you on weekends.
It's true. Or I could come see you and we can go to breweries.
Yeah.
I mean, like, no matter what, you wouldn't be 3,000 miles. So that then it would be a once-a-year visit.
Right.
So.
But I don't know if Kaylee's ever going to want to move back to Minnesota.
Right.
So, yeah, hopefully that works out in our marriage, you know?
Kaylee, we can stay married, but I guess you're moving to California and I'm moving back to Minnesota.
No, we can't do that. She made a good point that, like, her mom lives in California, and we already spent, like, a year and a half of our married life next to my parents.
Yeah.
And she wants to be closer to her, so. What would be super cool is if I got a really good remote job, and I was making a bunch of money, and then I could just, like, fly to Minnesota often.
Yeah, maybe you should, like, also get your pilot's license so you can just buy a private jet with your marketing money and
keep a private jet.
Yep. Dude, so we flew in the King Air, which is like I think 8 people is the maximum capacity.
From Morris to Pekin?
Yeah. Small planes like that, especially when it's winter and everything's icy, it's kind of freaky.
Is it?
Yeah. Like you're driving, like they're trying to, you know how fast you have to get going to get off the ground.
Uh-huh.
But it's like, the weather was terrible. I thought that they would cancel the flight or reschedule, but we're like getting up to speed, and you can feel like basically that the plane's starting to kind of fishtail.
Oh, dang.
And then finally gets up, and you're like, okay, we're going to survive this, I think.
Oh, my gosh.
But in Pekin, there's actually no snow.
Okay.
I didn't realize that it was as nice here as it is, but it's pretty summer-esque compared to what we're used to.
How many planes does the company have again? 3?
I think, yeah. There's the King Air, which is the bigger one, and then 2 Cirruses.
Yeah, I flew in one of those.
And those are just like 2-man, right?
Yeah.
Or like 4 men, but
probably
2
3
pilots and 2 back seats or whatever.
Yeah.
So, interesting fact about that I found out today is those Cirrus ones are the only airplane ever made that have a 0 death incident. Like even though they've had crashes,
nobody's died.
There's never been a death in someone flying in that specific model of airplane.
Yeah.
Because I guess there's like parachutes, and it must just be really easy to jump out and float to the ground or something.
That's good to know.
Yeah, it made me a little more like, hey, no one's ever died. I feel like I can probably like beat the odds of most normal people. So if normal people can survive, I could probably do okay.
Yeah. And the thing I always think with planes is that way more people die in cars. So whenever I'm on a plane, I shouldn't be worried.
Right. It's like the odds are probably higher that if I drove the 9 hours here, I would die
completely
flying the hour and a half.
So
yeah, it's all about controlling your mental, like it's easy for your brain to like wander crazy places, but it's good practice to do things like this and train yourself to not think like an idiot.
Yeah. I've been kind of worried this first week and a half here because of the driving and not knowing, because I run a lot in the neighborhood, and so I'm crossing streets constantly.
Yeah.
And at a little bit faster pace. And in the States, I'm used to how people drive, so you can kind of predict. when to cross, when not to cross, if people slow down, if they don't. So yeah, I've been a little worried about that. I stepped up. We were gonna go get a taxi the other day, and I backed up after talking to the taxi driver, or rather Kaylee was, and there was another taxi coming. I almost backed up into another as the other one was coming in the lane. I was like, "Don't die, Dan."
Yeah.
Because they'll go ahead.
I just even think of like going to San Francisco and stuff, and like, the pace there is busier, right? And like,
Yeah,
kind of overwhelming. Much less like when I was in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm guessing it's probably kind of similar, where it's just like no real traffic laws, and people are just like driving in ways that you'd never even imagine.
it's like you wonder like what gets you pulled over. I've seen a couple people pulled over, and I can't. It's like, how come them? What?
You have to have like a kilo of cocaine sitting in your back window,
Right. There was they pass on regular streets, like 30, 40 mile an hour streets. They'll pass each other. If one car is going too slow, you just pass, just like you're on the highway, like a two-way highway.
Nice.
In some ways, I think it almost feels liberating. It's just like, we're getting here as fast as you can.
Yeah, it's kind of like you grew up in Minnesota where everyone's passive aggressive and like, says terrible things in their car, and you'd never know. They're like, okay, I always wanted to be aggressive with the slow grandma who's driving 20 and 30 and pass her and honk, and you gotta drive someone's car and just try it out.
Let's try it out.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Let all your passive aggressiveness go and be aggressive. No more passive aggressive. I'm aggressive.
So Dave, when you're on work trips like now and you stay in hotels, like what do you like to do? Because that can be kind of boring or like lonely.
I usually watch Cops.
Oh, yeah, you told me that.
Seriously, like I don't usually. I mean, I don't go hang out at the bar or anything. So it's like you have dinner, you go back to the hotel room. I brought my running stuff, so I thought maybe I could go around on the treadmill or something.
Mm-hmm.
Just to, because like you said, it can get really boring just sitting in the hotel room. You don't want to go to bed at 9 o'clock, but
yeah,
if you don't have something to do, you definitely will.
Yeah. One time I was staying at the Four Seasons or whatever there by the Four Points or I don't know, whatever it is. Yeah, whatever Superior stays at before you fly out of MSP.
Yeah, I'm staying there Sunday.
Yeah, and I was like, well, I'm gonna go swimming,
Nice.
And so I go down there by myself, and then there was like a couple in the hot tub, so I was like, I'll just go in the big pool. I don't want to like walk. I don't know. It's just kind of awkward.
Hang out with the couple while they snuggle and make out.
Yeah.
In the hot tub.
So then they left, and then I got out of the pool and I go sit in the hot tub by myself.
Yeah.
And then a different couple walks in and sits down.
Oh man.
And they didn't like I don't know what. It was just awkward. They weren't doing anything weird, and neither was I. But they didn't say anything like to me, and then they hardly said anything to each other, and then we just sat in there.
Oh man.
For like, I don't know how long, like 7 to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, well, I don't want to get out right away as soon as they come in, because then it looks like I'm getting out just because they're getting in.
Right.
But I don't know. That's just a weird dynamic with one couple in a hot tub and then you by yourself. And
yeah,
you're sitting across from them, like directly
that's
across.
super awkward.
So eventually, I just left. I was like, I gotta just.
Have I ever told you the story about my uncle in a hot tub?
No.
So my uncle was in this hot tub, and like the bubbles are on, like you can't really see anything below water. And there was he was sitting next to this guy whose girlfriend was like on the other side of the hot tub.
Mm-hmm.
and the girl had been like taking her boyfriend's like foot and like sucking on his toes, like, and so then like she like sets his foot down and then accidentally grabs my uncle's foot and starts sucking on his toes. She was like, excuse me. And it's just like the most awkward, like the best thing probably ever if you would have caught that on video. But
I'm dying laughing. I'm just trying not to be
I
loud for the recording.
I always think about that every single time that I think of like awkward hot tub stories. The worst.
What do you say at that point?
Right? It's like, in some ways, like your Minnesota niceness wants to just like let her like keep sucking your toes and not have to confront it. And then the other part of you just like wants to run away.
Oh gosh.
Terrible. But yeah,
That's the best.
That's my funny story. I had the opposite experience in that that 4 Points where it was. I had some meetings there one day because some of the sales managers had just like flown in for the day but didn't want to have to drive to Morris. So the actual like conference meeting rooms that they have at the hotel were all being used. So we set up like on the table in the pool room and we're just hanging out in the pool. And then like this whole family with like 6 kids come in and the kids just come sprinting in and cannonball and splash. And we're all working there on our laptops with paper out and everything. And like I get splashed in the back. Like, okay, I think it's time for us to evacuate the pool.
Yeah.
The parents were like mortified and we're like, oh no, come over here, kids. Apologizing, and you're like, well, it's kind of our fault for sitting in the pool area.
Trying to have a business meeting in the
Yeah. But,
boring adult stuff.
yeah.
How do you think? So this is kind of going off of a conversation I was having with Kaylee earlier today. But so you got a kid, and so obviously you have to teach young people. We're kind of talking about this because she's like with first and second graders now. There's got to be structure, and you got to teach them like social norms as far as like behavior and sitting still and listening and not being rude. And obviously all those things are important, and if you don't get taught them, you won't really have much success in school or work or general social life. But sometimes I get the feeling like when I used to be at church and a little kid would try to be like playing or like squawking or like making a noise or whatever. Yep. And you're listening to maybe like a really boring sermon and none of the adults are that engaged either. And then the kid is just like being themselves or like actually being happy or seemingly like doing something good with their their time. There's some sort like expression of like jubilation or like just natural human, and then like watching the kid get shushed and you're kind of like put in line.
Right.
And I was wondering like what's the balance of teaching your kids how to behave,
right?
but not squashing I don't know, there's an element of like if you follow all the rules all the time in life, things generally go well for you, but at the same time you could become like it could kind of steal your joy.
Yeah, see, it's always kind of weird for me because I grew up like church was so normal for me as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad was a worship pastor for like the first 9 years of my life, right? So we were always just hanging out at the church like during their worship practices during the week and Wednesday nights and early Sunday mornings and there like all day. And so I was there like not just during services. So when it wasn't services, like the sanctuary was the funnest place, right? You're just like running around and jumping on chairs and playing hide and go seek and everything.
For sure.
And so, strangely, like I never had that like, oh yeah, church is a sacred place and you're not allowed to have fun there. Like I feel a lot of kids get from their parents.
Right.
So I don't really grasp that, and I guess personally I don't want my kid to be like, oh yeah, church is the boring place where I have to come and be quiet, you know?
Right.
Like there's obviously a line, like you were saying, where it's like, yeah, if the pastor's preaching and your kid is old enough to understand like volume, they shouldn't be yelling and like, you know, imagining that they're in a sword fight, like getting out of the chair and running up and down the aisles. But I think there's also that piece of like where Jesus was like, let the children come, you know, like
Mm-hmm.
don't just like tell the children they have to go sit with their parents and be quiet. Like they're kids, don't make them sit down or make them go away. Like let them come up here and hang out and sit with me.
Yeah, and I guess it's probably just about like teaching your kids where that raw expression or freedom is appropriate, and then when is it time to, uh, to get in line or to be quiet or whatever. That's probably just like teaching them context.
Yeah, I think that's probably the most important thing is like what, you know, there's kind of a like church isn't a boring place and this sanctuary isn't like it's like the holy of holies and God will hate you if you are loud, but it's more like social skills in general, right? It's like whether it was church or whether it was
School.
Yeah, I mean school or
the dentist.
A play or a concert or whatever it is, right? It's like, okay, it's more like helping them to understand when someone else has the attention, you should, you know, quiet down and respect them by, you know, giving them your attention and being quiet.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Is it ever intimidating to think about how, like, on one level, like you're the father, like you're quote unquote the authority.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to say that. That sounds like a weird way to say it, but like you're the father to your kid, right? You're the
Right.
provider. You're the one, the teacher, along with your wife. Both of you are kind of in that role. But then, like at the same time, you're dealing like with a human who, at the root, is like you're an equal with.
Right. We were talking about this just the other day. Like, it's really strange. You look at me and my siblings, and my parents really did 4 different styles of parenting with each of us.
Wow, that's kind of impressive.
And we all turned out so differently. I don't know if it was intentional, right? Like, I don't think it was like planned out. Like, okay, here's our game plan for David. I think it's just how it worked.
Yeah, like, reacting.
Yeah, exactly. Reacting to
appropriately
the circumstances and the behaviors and all the traits and all the characteristics that they saw, you know, and they're like, okay, yeah, we need to do, you know, handle David this way, and you know, so it's kind of overwhelming for me when I look at that, and it's like, okay, so my parents had to, like, I can't just say, oh yeah, my parents like parented all of us this way and we turned out good, right? It's like, no, my parents kind of went through like hell with each of us because we were all crazy and different in our own way, and they had like to lose sleep and hair and everything and just be stressed for years and years and years because they were just trying to figure out, okay, like, we did this for Rachel, doesn't seem to be working for Hannah. How are we gonna, you know, like, that's more for me where it's like, it doesn't seem clear cut. It doesn't seem like it's like, oh, I can just say my parents did this for me, because I really think my parents did a good job with how they chose me.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But I don't think that, like if they had chosen that same strategy for like my brother or like my sister Hannah, it wouldn't have been very effective. They did a lot more like, hey, if you want things in life, if you want a car, if like you can have all the responsibility that you want, but if you want the responsibility, like you have to take charge. Go, like, you want to be able to go see friends and drive around, go get a job so that you can buy a car so that you can pay for gas, right? You want expensive shoes? Well, then you have to buy your own skateboard shoes. We'll give you $20 towards some cheap, you know, Walmart tennis shoes, and anything you want to spend beyond that, you need to pay yourself.
Yeah. When I got a job, my dad helped me get a job at McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I was like 14, 15. And that's what I spent all my money on was shoes.
Right.
Because they've been buying me these crap
yeah.
Payless shoes.
Yeah, that was like from probably, I don't know, like 12 when I started getting lawn mowing jobs until I was like 16. Like, so for 4 years, that was like all my extra money was spent on buying all these expensive, stupid shoes.
Shoes were really important back then, I felt.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like. Like in junior high and 9th, 10th, 11th grade, like that's, I don't know, because before you have a car, a shoe is kind of a status symbol.
Oh, it's
to some
definitely
extent.
a status symbol. Did you ever have Heelys?
No, I didn't. I don't know if that was, it might have been the people like right under me, like the couple grades below me.
Yeah, that's probably right. Because I think it was maybe like 6th grade when that was cool. Like, and it was only cool for a really short time because one kid in my grade above me broke his arm, and then they got outlawed at the school like 3 months after they got cool, so you couldn't wear them anymore.
Oh, wow.
Because he went down like a flight of stairs. He tried to go down on his Heelys, broke his arm, and they're like, "Yep, no more of that."
Yeah.
But I always think about those kind of fondly. I don't know why.
Do you remember? You weren't really in basketball, so do you remember spree wheels?
Yes, I do.
So they're like Latrell Sprewell shoes, and they spun
Yeah,
the wheel spun inside the shoe every time you stepped.
Yep.
I didn't have a pair of those, but those are super cool.
I think I didn't play basketball, but I'm pretty sure I had a pair of those.
Yeah.
I wonder how much they cost now. I'm looking it up.
I remember my first pair of Jordans. I spent like $130 on them for the basketball.
Yeah.
Like in 8th grade, but they were sweet.
Yeah, I would buy. I was more in like the skateboarding, total lame like saggy pants thing when I was in middle school.
Did you have etnies, or were those out by that time?
Audios were what was cool.
Oh yeah.
When I was buying them.
DCs or no?
Yeah, that was the weird thing. It was like from year to year. So for like 2 years, audios were cool, and then I think my third pair I got were DCs, and then like all the girls had, was it like Fat with a PH?
Fat Farm?
Yeah, Fat Farm. Yep.
Yeah, Kaylee told me the other day that she had some Fat Farm shoes.
I think my wife Haley still has a pair of them like that she bought. She's like a shoe hoarder, so she has all of her shoes like basically that she's ever had.
I feel like I've seen Haley wear those before, like when she was a kid.
Right. Yeah, shoes were. I definitely agree that shoes were a status symbol. Do you think that that's gone away, sadly, and now it's more like your cell phone is your status symbol for kids like now?
I don't know. My brother Thomas is in 8th grade, and he spends a lot of money he spends his money on shoes and a lot of shoes. So
okay,
I don't know if that's just because that's what he likes, or if that.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm
Seems
kind
like
of
a pattern.
curious. We need to poll some middle school age type people. If you're in middle school and you're listening to this, let us know if shoes are still a status symbol.
We could go to the Morris area high school and
Yeah. Well, I could.
Right. I can show up. And then
All right.
just start pulling kids. And they'd be, do you guys have permission to do this? No, we're media members from the Cowboys and Unicorns podcast.
Yes.
We encourage smoking and responsible drinking of craft brews.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh, gosh. I was looking on Twitter to see if Donald Trump said anything great lately, but
he kind of tweets a lot, so I follow him. I've been following him for a few months,
yeah.
but I read like every fifth one.
Yeah, because he gets too wordy.
They all kind of sound the same after a while. I'm like, okay.
Right. Like, I mean, the ones that I like are his one sentence ones. So, like, to protect our country, we must protect American steel. Hashtag America first. It's like, that's the right length for a good Donald Trump, one-liner.
Right. When he starts going past 140 characters and it gets all caps, he's like, what? He said the other day, he was like, Oscar ratings were their lowest. It's because we don't have any stars anymore, capitalized star.
That's awesome.
And it was like, it's like, who are you blaming for that? I don't know. Like, that was a weird thing to complain about.
Right.
There's not any movie stars anymore. It's like,
stupid Democrats ruining all the stars. It's because we don't like guns anymore. No more stars.
There's so many more like B, C, and D level or list stars because of social media. It's so fragmented.
Well, and I think it's interesting. I mean, we've talked about this, but like with Netflix and I mean, basically all of the TV show type outlets starting to make their own productions, I feel like it's kind of opening up a whole lot more opportunity for there not to be like just the 60 stars that are basically in everything that you ever know about, and a lot more like just random roles for your average Joe to manage to get on this TV show and actually make a name for himself.
Yeah. And if you really want to, I mean, you can make a sitcom on YouTube and put it out every week.
There's that too.
Yeah.
Or a podcast.
Right. Dude, it'd be fun if more people listen to this podcast.
Right? Hey, I repped us, so we'll see.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Next week, I'll have to record. We'll have to record, and I can be outside smoking in Arizona.
Yeah, and I'll grab my pipe because I brought some tobacco and
nice.
Swedburg pipe.
There you go.
So we can do that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. One of the best tobacco companies just had to close the doors. I'm not really sure what all of the deal is, but it's basically like has to do with like some government like laws and stuff that have got stricter. That imposed special taxes on that basically just made it not profitable for them to keep going, and it's super sad.
Dang.
Like that they sucks. Had some of the best blends, and there were all these. So it's the stupidest thing. So they closed the doors, but they had 500 tins of tobacco that like were still kind of floating around on all the big online sellers, and then just a couple people went and bought all of them. It's like $20 a tin, and now they're all on eBay for like $100, $150 a tin now.
That's awesome.
No, it sucks.
Well, it's great for those people who had the the forethought to do
Yeah,
that.
but it's so greedy. It's like I could have gone and bought a tin and thrown it in my cellar so that I could still, enjoy some of it. Now I would have to pay $100 for someone on eBay to get a tin.
Dude, it's capitalism, Dave.
Whatever. Screw capitalism. I want to move to China. What's China's economy?
I don't know. They seem like they have a lot of money. Isn't that kind of capitalistic?
Fine, I'm moving to
Venezuela? It's super dangerous there.
that jungle that's right in between, like right past the Panama Canal and in between Ecuador, where there's no roads.
Gosh.
I will start growing my own tobacco leaves.
That'd be sweet. Oh, well, Dave, I might let you go here.
Yeah, I think we've been going for an hour and 15 minutes, so I think we got some quality conversations. We'll have to figure out a time to record for next week, but we don't have to do that on air.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. Thanks, everybody, for listening to the Cowboys and Unicorns podcast. We're still going.
Yep. All the way from Pekin, Illinois.
And Quito, Ecuador.
Quito, Ecuador.
Quito.
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 Alrighty.
Adios. Talk to you
Peace
later,
out.
Dave.